Hey guys, welcome to the lab where we experiment thoughts and life as we break down and discover our ever growing life as a young adult. Today we have David Yu, aka, correct me if I'm wrong, but TEHILLIM music? Is it right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well,
That's
before
it.
we
That was good.
start,
That was good.
yeah, I actually Googled up how to pronunciate it in the Hebrews way. But I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it's like the actual Hebrew pronunciation that I kind of heard from the video, but it was like Tehillim. And I was like, is that the right way?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever you want it to be. I pronounce it as Tehillim, but
Tehillim.
people have different ways. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, before we dive deep into like getting to know more about you, can you give us a little introduction of who you are, what do you do, and yeah.
Okay, yes. Like Peace introduced me. I'm David. I'm a music producer, musician. Yeah, and I am also studying theology. So I'm really passionate about Christianity, study of God, ministry. Yeah, I'm Korean. Grew up in Sydney, but now here in Perth, Western Australia. Been here for 5 years. Yeah, and I'm how old am I? 26 years old. So turning 27 soon. Hmm.
Oh, oh my gosh. It kind of does hit you hard, eh? Like 26, 27 is just one
Yeah.
age, but man.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You can no longer consider yourself like mid 20s or, you know.
Right? Like not kidding, like literally in church, like I'm the oldest in my young adults group right now,
Oh, wow.
and I
Oh,
feel
wow.
like so old. Like I joke around to people being like, "Oh, 나 늙었어, so don't touch me," but like for real, I feel so old. Oh,
Hmm.
man. But yeah, like
How old are you?
I'm only 1 year younger than you, like 25.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But then when you correct yourself in Korean age, next year becoming
Hmm.
27, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's so scary.
28, right? Yeah. It's all right. It's all part of, like maturing as well, right? So
It's part of God's plan.
it's
Mm-mm.
so I
But
actually
yeah,
enjoy like growing older.
you
Yeah,
do?
I enjoy it actually. Yeah, it's weird. Like since I was little, I was always like, oh, I just want to be like 29. Like when I was like, that's when I was like 14 or 15. I was like, I just want to
What?
like, I don't know why. I don't know what it is about like age, but I don't know. Like it's just, yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
I'm
What do
just
you want to
weird.
do? What do you want to do at 29? Is there a specific thing that you dreamt of?
Oh, I don't know. I think when I was younger, I just thought like when I grow old, like things just work out, like things get settled, like what I want to do in life, like music producing and
Yeah.
like traveling the world and different things like that. When I was younger, I think age is like the missing puzzle piece, almost.
Mm.
But of course it's definitely more complicated than that. But
Oh yeah.
when I was
Oh
younger,
yeah.
it was a lot of hype around being able
Mm.
to be like independent and like be able to do whatever you want to do. Yeah, just as a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying like your age and you're growing, you're maturing, and you're
Mhm.
accepting that. Whereas I'm not accepting me being mature right now. Mm-mm. It's like,
It's
those
not
phases
about
where it's just like, I don't want to grow old yet. I still want to be
yeah,
young,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm growing
yeah,
old. But
yeah.
anywho, you started theology. Like, when did this happen?
So I just finished my first semester actually. So I'm studying Masters of Theology at the moment at a college called Alpha Crucis. And
No.
yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm doing it. And, yeah, and my initial plan was this is probably going like I'm probably supposed to share about this like later on, but
Yeah.
yeah, my initial plan was to like go to Korea beginning of this year. Yeah, and start up some, music and art and creativity kind of focused Christian group. But
Mm.
it didn't really work out because of the pandemic. And yeah, I was supposed to start theology in Korea, but you know,
Oh,
it just didn't work out. Like I applied for the travel exemption, I got denied, and so yeah, so I just kind of thought maybe let's just do it here,
mm.
while I have the opportunity to be here, and
Wow.
rather than just being so discouraged and like down.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I gave it a go. I thought it was a great great choice that I made.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Man, congratulations on making that leap of faith and like
Yeah.
actually walking into like
Mhm.
what God wanted you to do plus what you were thinking to do as well.
Mhm. Thank
Wow.
you. Appreciate that.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember last time when we had a brief talk, it was like, oh, should I go to Korea? Or
Yeah.
like kind of pondering onto the thought or of
Yeah.
whether you should go to Korea and into the music industry.
Mm,
But
mm.
wow, wow. Like, was your intentions like, did you already have the thought of when you were planning to go to Korea to do theology
Mm.
there as well, or more towards music
Yeah, so
industry? Yeah.
so it was a little bit of both. So I actually had a church from Korea actually call me.
Mm,
They kind of wanted me to come and work for them. So they were actually willing to employ me for the 5 years plan that they had.
mm,
And in that was like this whole program of like training young people, young creatives in Korean church, to kind of, dream, and be able to produce something for God.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so it was kind of like bit of both. Like the church was willing to kind of pay a little bit for my college tuition, which would have been amazing.
Mm,
And in that process, they were willing to support for any, yeah, because I think I shared with you like personally, but like I was wanting to like make a community of creatives who can actually like like really encourage each other in the process of creating. And the heart of it was for us to recognize that in this day and age, like people try to be famous by like famous as a creator,
mm,
when we should really be known, first and foremost as a created, more
yeah,
than creator. So yeah, so the heart of it was to really train young people, young creatives to know God, to actually know the creator, the ultimate creator, and in that place be known as the created by God
wow.
and by people. And out of that, be able to create and celebrate each other's creativity.
Mm,
So yeah, it was always going to be a Christian thing. And so, when the church was like, oh, I really love that vision. The pastors of the church, they really love the vision. I'm blessed to know that. But yeah, so they were really supportive of it, and they wanted me to come, become like a media creative ministry, whatever, pastor at the church, and
mm,
do what I want to do, under the umbrella of the church.
yeah,
Yeah, and of course, like I was free to like reach out for more as well, and they would have supported me. But yeah, it just didn't work out with pandemic, and
mm,
um, yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start it here. Like I
wow.
have all the people that want to join me for this. They're all in
Yeah,
Korea. I don't know
mm,
what it is with me, but like I think my vision just catches a lot of Koreans.
oh
I don't know
yeah,
why,
oh
but
yeah.
anyways, but also like, but also I really love the nation of Korea.
Mm,
It is my own nation, but also it's a nation that's like deep into like, um, I don't think I said it here, but I was a missionary for 5 years, and in my time as a missionary, I really developed this heart for the nation of Korea, my own nation, and so yeah, so like I think I'm like 100% like sold to like go and
mm,
get get in the field with the Koreans and do things. And yeah, when they reached out to me, it was like this clicking of like my vision and their intentions with what they want to do with the church. And
Yep.
yeah, thought it was going to be
Wow.
cool, but didn't work out. And now I'm like here. Like I said, I just wanted to just get started anyway. So I'm kind of having like regular calls with like my guys in Korea, and
Mm.
like just doing what we can do here, like while we're apart, really. And yeah, having like regular Zoom worship sessions, and like I'm studying theology, so then I can like go to Korea and I have something to kind of be like, hey, this is my background. This is kind of the educated teachings that I can provide, or whatever it is, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Wow.
so I'm kind of in the process of just doing it anyway, like
Yeah.
almost like, yeah, I'm alone here. Like all my guys are like in Korea, but I'm in my
Wow.
spirit. I'm like, yeah, I'm in it. So,
Wow. Wow. That's so amazing. Like that's actually so cool that you're not like pressed down of your situation that's given to you, but like still being away, your
mm,
body is although it's like in a different country, but your spirit's there. And like if you're so passionate in where you stand right now, how much more passionate would you be when you're actually in the land?
yeah,
Like
right.
that's
Yeah,
just wow. Like I don't think I can imagine how hard that's gonna hit when you actually
yeah.
land on that land.
Mm, wow.
Damn. Wow.
Wait,
Well,
I probably went everywhere with what I just said.
mm,
Sorry, I'm like so not
nah,
organized in my thoughts
nah.
today, but
I
like,
love I love it. Like I love raw conversations. Of course there's like a few questions and like an outline of what I
mhm.
wanted to ask you and what this conversation should
Yeah.
go towards, but I love it. Like
Mm.
already from the beginning, I think we've dived in so deep that we don't need the icebreaker
Yeah.
questions.
So good, so good, so good.
Wow.
I'm
Well,
I'm curious to hear your icebreaker questions though. Like,
I don't have any. I don't have any. I don't have any. Anyways, let's talk more about music. Like I love the
hmm
fact that you've opened up about like theology and music and how you're a missionary as well. But before we dive deep in those aspects, like as a musician, I know you're such a talented musician. You know how to play guitar, play amazing keys. You're a producer yourself, and you also like know how to mix and everything as well. Like as a producer, like and as an independent producer as well, like what exactly do you do as a producer?
right. Wow. Great question. Yes. So it really depends on like what kind of production I'm doing. So I do all sorts. I sometimes, like right now I have two clients that I'm producing. So they're two vocal artists, and so I make um it's their composition, their song. So like the song's there, but like if you listen to like the demo songs, like that artists like come up with, and like compare it with the full produced version, like you'll be really surprised, because like yourself, like I'm just talking to like the people listening to the podcast here, but yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, right? So yeah, I when I'm dealing with clients like that, I'm mostly just really picking their vision, their hearing their heart for the song and all that, and really helping that thought and that vision come to reality. So like
Mm,
sometimes it's finding the right keyboard player or guitarist for them. Even though I play guitar and keyboard myself, I always try to like listen out for what kind of style they're really looking for. And if I
mm,
think this other keyboard player would do a better job, I'm always willing to just humble myself and be like, hey, actually, I think we should just reach out to this person,
mm,
instead of me playing. Anyways, so like all that to say, it's always about like, hearing their vision and really giving my best, whether it may be talent or like ability to connect with others or whatever it is,
mm,
giving my best to really like make that happen. So It could be directing their vocal recordings and
Mm.
helping them hear themselves right, and like make sure like they perform the best. Yeah, and it could also be like arranging the song and doing the whole yeah, beat making or music making or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so it could be many things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of like a bit of
All in
everything
all.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I remember like there was a teacher once saying like back in the
Mm,
days like music producers didn't really have to do all the music production things, whereas they
mm,
would be the people who would see the vision of the artist and bring that out from the artist, guide them in whichever way which
right.
can possibly make them a better artist. Whereas
Mm,
nowadays when you say I'm a music producer, then people would more think of you as like the production person who would make
yeah.
beats, be on what was the name of that? Ableton, or like make beats
Mm,
from Ableton or go through Logic and be like the production music production person. But
mhm.
in this day and age right now where we stand, do you reckon like it became like the music producer is now evolved inside of like music production person, or do you still think music producers
Um,
should have the ability to do music production and produce a artist to become a better artist?
I think it's a bit of both. Like I think like what I found is like when I first started producing, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to
Mm,
like mix, I wanted to master, I wanted to play every single instrument that I knew how to play. Like, and I really had no other people like really be involved other than like maybe if I needed a female vocal or whatever.
mm,
I really like wanted to do it all, and that wasn't because like of any other reason than like I just enjoyed making music. And I don't know, like it wasn't because like that was the norm or anything. And I think it was also a little bit of like insecurity, maybe like I just didn't
mm,
want to like um yeah, even like have other people listen to it, or even maybe like it was just like an insecure thought of like, oh, this has to be like just between me, myself, and I. But
mm,
anyways, I think i I was boxed into that thinking at the beginning. But I think like the more I like do music production, the more I realize like um it's just better when you involve more people.
yeah.
It's just like in so many different ways, like like even if you can do what you're after, like just by having a second pair of ears, just things just get better. And I think like yeah, these days, like people can do everything on their own. Yes, I
Mm,
100% support that idea. But like what I've learned is like if you're like me, who's like like not king of anything but like jack of many trades, like it's just like it'll make a whole lot of difference to like actually collaborate and involve other people in your production. That's my personal opinion. So I think, yeah, it can be both. It can be either way, but I have personally found just such richness in, you know, doing it with others, for the sake of the quality of the production, but also just for the sake of like fun. And like it's
mm,
also like so much more rejuvenating, and like so much more like, because when you talk about the project with other people, like you actually spit out so much more intentions that you were actually carrying for the song than you would
yeah.
have like if you were just like boxed into it, like, and thinking about it and chewing on it. I don't know,
Mm,
maybe that's because I'm a verbal processor sometimes. But yeah, I think like just that process is just really precious to me. And so
yeah.
quality of the project aside, I think collaboration is just so good.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, that's my thought.
Wow. So far from your own experience, what do you
Mhm.
think has been the most important role as being a producer for you?
Like how do you mean, like
Like as a producer, like for example,
Mhm,
seeing an artist and being able to see that they achieve a betterness of this of themselves and put that
mhm,
out into the production can be an
mm,
important role for you as a
mm.
producer, or
Yeah, right.
finding missing areas in the production and finding resolutions or like
Yeah,
resources to fill that up.
yeah, okay. I think the that's a really hard question actually. I really value every part about producing. Really, I really do. And
Wow.
so that's why it makes it really tricky for me to answer that. But I think um the most like satisfying and like valuable experience that I have as a producer all the time is actually like when I'm coaching or directing the recording sessions and I'm really like there, encouraging the artist, but also like dreaming with them of how it can be better, of
Mm,
how it can be, like presented to the listener, or you know what I mean. Like I think that's just like the most precious like moment for me,
wow.
and I really
Yeah.
come alive when I do that. And there was a week of when I was a missionary, Christian missionary. Yeah, we traveled to like Singapore and Malaysia to record. So there was like 1 week of recording 30 artists. They were all my students, like 30,
30.
probably 30 plus. It was like
Oh my
probably almost
goodness.
like five, maybe 40. I'm not sure. Anyways, a lot
Wow.
of so it was just like a week of intense recording every day.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
I was very tired that
Yeah.
week, I'm gonna be honest. But like it was probably the most rewarding week of like in my music producer journey. It was probably most one of the most rewarding week in my music producer life because like there were students, like some of them were really good musicians, but some of them were like really in need of help or like
Yeah.
in need of encouragement, just to be real.
Yeah.
Like just to like actually be that person who's actually like giving them this like encouragement and like, because if you think about it, if you just like go up to like a commercial like studio and like a producer in that studio and you're like not a good singer and you're like doing recording with them, they're only gonna look at you as like business,
Yeah.
a means to like make money, right?
Mm.
But like if you have this like producer who's like so like, um, like I just want to see them grow as a musician, but also like grow as a person that uses this gift of music, or this yeah, just entertainment of music and like be able to experience some kind of where they may be feeling or where they may be like some kind of religious like reward or whatever it is, like that's just like for me that's just so satisfying, and so
Wow.
yeah, that week of really intense recording with like 30 something like musicians, I think I look back at that week and think that was such a turning point,
Wow.
or not a turning point, more like a point that a time that really solidified my my yeah, my heart for the
Vision?
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
vision, my heart for creatives. I
Yeah.
really want to like see them grow. I really want to see them do what they love to do, and do it well and do it with purpose.
Mm.
And in my case, that can be very religious. The purpose side, it can be a very religious purpose. But I
Mm.
think, yeah, even like outside, religion, I think music can be so like powerful. Like people
Yeah.
like really have therapies out of music and like
Yeah.
healing sessions, like counseling and all that, right? And so yeah, I think for me the part where I'm really encouraging others to have purpose in what they do is
Mm.
so rewarding. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, how did you get to know that like music producing being a music producer was your way
Yeah.
to go?
Mm. So backtrack a little. I was probably 11 when I first started music. Well, I kind of
Damn.
learned piano before then.
Yeah.
But when I was 11, I saw this instrument, guitar, and I was like, dang, this is like the most like beautiful thing I've ever seen. I really fell in love with it. I played it
Wow.
like 8 hours a day, every day, because I didn't go to school back then as well.
Wow.
Yeah, my parents moved to, I mean, my family moved to Australia for missions. And for the first year, I didn't have to go to the school because we weren't really sure that we were gonna stay in Australia. We were
Mm,
always like, we like back then it was just like a short stay to get trained as missionaries. And so
mm,
yeah, and so I didn't go to school. So guitar was like my go-to during the day. Like from the morning to the evening, I would just play guitar. And so that's kind of how I started music. And like I was sort of like I just knew four chords like G, D minor, C, like typical church chords. And I would play that for like hours and hours and hours. And
wow.
like when when my family like went back to Korea for a little while and then came back, went back for visa issues and came back to Australia. Like that's when I didn't have a guitar, and
Mm,
so I started like doing worship team at the church and all that. And like during the week, like I literally made like I think I shared this to you, but anyways, I literally made this timber guitar. I drew
oh my
frets on
gosh.
like this timber and like shoelace around it and like
Oh,
practiced with it, right? And
yeah.
didn't make any noise. I was just like a 12-year-old.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, but I just loved it. I just loved it. Like I didn't think to really ask my parents to buy me a guitar because they're missionaries, and in my young mind, I just thought, oh, that's just not a thing for my family. And so yeah, I was like in love with this thing. I traveled like hours to church, and like when I was like 12, just to play the guitar.
Wow.
And then eventually, I got to a point where I was just like, because my dad had to go so early to the church, like even though like the youth worship was like 11 or something, I would get to church at 8 and set up the whole thing. So I knew, like I kind of learned how to do sound setup. You know, I had time to play piano and drums and all that. So that's kind of how I like learned all the instruments. I didn't really learn them. I just picked them up because I had so much time
Yeah.
when I was younger. And then like what happened was like when I like developed that, I thought to myself, okay, I because in that first year or two, I wrote a little bit of, yeah, a few songs. So I was
Wow.
like, I should really do something about like songwriting. And so I started like searching like on Google or whatever was around back then, like like composition tools or whatever, and
Oh,
started like
wow.
doing like I think it's called Guitar Pro. It's like
Mm,
a it's like a guitar notation program. So I
yeah.
just like started like doing that and like
Wow.
drawing like the drum notes in, and that was
Wow.
like how I started. Like I was only like 13 or something.
Damn.
And yeah, like I started like making music so then I can like write songs. But because I'm not really talented singer, I just always thought like to and I didn't learn classically, right? So I didn't know how to do sheet music very well. So I just like had to like come up with a way to actually record, or like how do I say this? I guess record, but like make um a print of what I actually made. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
write, I couldn't whatever. So like Guitar Pro was my thing. So I like
Yeah.
drew in the notes. Like I said, I don't know classical music writing, and so like it will be like one note and then, oh, that's not it, and then move it and
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so like I kind of had all these like cute, like very MIDI computer sounding
Oh
songs of my
wow.
compositions. I'm sure I can probably find them in my hard drives or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
But yeah, it was just like a bunch of like songs that I made, and I was like, I just loved, like, it sounds terrible because it's like computer sounding, right? MIDI
Yep.
guitars, right?
Yep.
But I loved like carrying the MP3 file around and like listening to my own
Wow.
song and like just feeling like I kind of like just made a biggest hit or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yep, yep.
I just love that feeling. And so I started
Wow.
like really like digging into it.
Yeah.
And then when I finished high school, yeah, I finished high school. I went to Australian Institute of Music. I went to yeah, do music production, bachelor. And yeah, since then it was more than just like making music in on my computer, but like actually like having recordings and you know um I still didn't notate anything, but but
Mm,
recording actual vocals, and actually learning about the whole process. And
mm.
if I'm really honest, I learned more through YouTube than um college, just because I was
Facts.
more, I don't know. Anyways,
Yep.
nothing against college, but yeah. But yeah,
Wow.
um, yeah, and yeah, in my time as a missionary, I was kind of like the worship band, traveling worship band missionary, and so I was always doing music. I was always, we were always like writing songs together, and
Yeah.
I was recording us and producing, and that was really fun as well. There's a lot of cool experiences that came out of that. And yeah, just recently, like 1 year ago, yeah, 1 year ago, I transitioned out of the missions organization, and I'm now like what I shared, yeah, dreaming for this community of creatives, not just musicians, but yeah, doing it here, studying theology, so then I can actually provide educated, leadership, but also, I think any art, I'm really a strong believer that philosophy behind art is like what we need, what the world needs. And for me,
Hey.
the philosophy of choice is theology. Because philosophy, like literally in its original word, means like wisdom, right? Study
Yep.
or like love of wisdom, right? And so the wisdom that I love personally, like the wisdom that I think should be at the core of my art, is theology.
Mm.
You introduced me as TEHILLIM, like at the beginning. TEHILLIM literally means Book of Psalms in Hebrew. And for me, like, yeah, like I think about how the writer of the Psalms was like, so raw, like so like one day he's like, God, why have you forsaken me? And then the
Mm.
other day he's like, praise the Lord, like, and I think like sometimes like oh sometimes the chapters are like very like not about God at all. It's
Oh
about his
yeah.
emotions.
Oh yeah.
And I think like for me personally, I really love to write worship music, but I also love to write secular music. I
Mm.
also love to write songs that are in between where it's like Christian theme, but like secular sounding or whatever you want to say, like however you want to say it, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's like sometimes about my emotions, my relationship, my whatever, my faith. Um, but I want like I like my name Tehillim means like the meaning behind it is like yeah, just like how the book of Psalm is like in if you look at the chapters individually, they're all like all these different things that the psalmist had to go through in life. Them collect together is this like big book that points towards God,
Mm.
towards Jesus. And so I want all my artwork, all my deeds, all my songs, all my music production. They can be anything. Like they can be about my ex-girlfriend, I don't know, like I'm just throwing ideas. They
Yeah.
can be about like my
Yeah.
faith, a country that I went to, a thing that's really like
Wow.
disrupting my heart or whatever. But
Wow.
in the end, like I want them collectively turn people towards God and actually be able to say my life was a book of song, and so
Wow.
yeah, so that's kind of like the meaning behind the name. So yeah,
Wow.
I don't know how I got there, but that felt
That
right.
was amazing. Yeah, like literally, you've just answered like half of my questions that I've written down. Like you've just like and then just banged it all out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, but
Hmm.
that's so interesting to hear where like you grew up in a environment where music was always there for you, God was
Hmm.
always there for you. So I guess there was a pathway for you that you just walked towards.
Yeah, right.
Music was there that you really loved, and you had guidance, which your biggest belief is religion,
Hmm.
which is God and Christianity. And I think that really did shape you as who you are today. And
Hmm.
yeah, the meaning behind Tehillim, like your psalms, like your song, like to be honest, you have so much stories. And like just by the fact that you're just saying so many things, like all the questions that I wanted to ask you, like you've just answered them all. Like I didn't even have to ask you questions. And it's just like that's how much story you have inside of you. And definitely there are so many things that you can share, but this podcast can only do so little of you. But through your
Hmm.
songs, like you said, like every song that you produce, it doesn't have to be specific album, it doesn't have to be in one like CD player or one MP3 mix, but all the songs that you put your effort into, no matter where it goes or however it does, like it's just a whole bunch of psalms for you.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
your story. That's your song that
Yeah.
represents you as a child of God, as a
Hmm.
person who is made by God. And I think that's
Hmm.
just so marvelous. Like, I think I'm
Yeah.
amazed by that right now. Like, damn, David. Like,
Thank you.
wow. 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 Well, like you said, like you've grew up in a missionary environment and you
Mhm.
were a missionary, you still are. But coming out from a mission organization, once when you were inside of the mission organization, I believe that you were serving in a music ministry.
Mhm.
And I guess in a Christian perspective or a non-Christian perspective, it would be more of like, oh, you were in a Christian bubble doing music in a
Right.
music Christian environment, right? And now you're walking towards like the actual music industry to become more um known inside of the music
Mhm.
industry as a Christian as well.
Mhm.
And I guess diving into more than theology, like on that note, like
Mhm.
coming out from the Christian bubble, how was that for you?
Hmm. Um, to be honest, I don't really, it doesn't really feel that all that real to me right now. So I
I
don't know how to answer that at the moment
mm.
because, like I said, I'm still separated from the rest of the guys and it like I'm kind of like yeah, just on my own, I guess. So
Mm,
I don't really know how to answer that, but
mm,
one thing that I feel really yeah, certain about, I guess, is that, like I don't know, like it's this idea of like even if like I'm really big on like um having conviction of heart, having like a certainty of heart, and I think like when it comes to like moving out of Christian world and like actually like a bubble, like you said, and like
mm,
still carrying that message and still carrying that um intention behind all that I do. Like the only thing that I know is like yes, environment would have changed. Yes, like people's response will be changed, but my certainty will be the same. You know what I mean? Like my
wow.
conviction of heart in like what I like present as an idea, what I like um discuss like in my music is always going to be the same. And so like I think like right now I'm not really um Yeah, I'm not really in a place to like really say like how different it feels,
Yeah.
because nothing's actually changed. You know what I mean? Because
Mm,
I'm still the same, certainty, conviction, and yeah, I believe in what I talk about. I believe
mm,
in what I share about as a musician. I think that's really important as an artist. Like you have to believe in what you share,
yeah.
like you have to like have faith about like what you're like presenting as an idea,
Yeah.
and I think that's like going back to like what I said earlier. I think that's why I think an artist should always have a deep understanding of philosophy, and for me that's theology. Like for me, like theology is what I want to be so like certain about, and so
Wow.
um yeah, in depth about in my understanding, so then I can actually convey that yeah, to the rest of the world, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know
Wow.
if that answers the question at all, but
Nah,
yeah,
nah, that's
what
good.
came to mind, yeah.
Yeah. When you mentioned about like music as well, making music,
Mm,
sometimes you write Christian songs, worship songs, and sometimes you make secular songs as
mhm,
well.
yeah.
Is there a big difference in how you approach
Mm,
like secular music and Christian music?
I think so, yeah, 100%. Like in when I'm writing Christian songs, when I'm writing worship songs, which is like congregational, I'm
Mm,
always like thinking about what kind of prayer am I putting on people's lips. That's all
wow.
I that's really what I think of most of the times. Because it's like worship songs are for us to sing together to God in
Yeah.
a time of worship, right? But if it's like a contemporary Christian song or like, like I don't know. I'm not necessarily thinking about like what prayer am I putting on people's lips, but more
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like the raw, like just the story that I want to share in its full raw version, I guess, like if it's like my testimony, then I'm only thinking about like how I'm gonna share it,
Yeah.
because that's what a testimony is. And so, but when it comes to secular music, I think I'm really like um yeah, like it's one of two things. One is like I'm just being like raw about what I write. So like if it's like an emotional song, then I'm not necessarily like always thinking about what is this gonna mean as coming from like a Christian producer, because
Yeah.
I'm really wanting to be like raw and real about what I write about, even though I'm not gonna like swear in it or anything, like,
Yeah.
like even though there's going to be like the same boundaries in terms of like I'm just the same person. So like
Wow.
swearing is just not real to me. And so
Yeah.
that's just not gonna be in there. But yeah, I think like but when I do write secular music with the intention to like actually convey Christian ideas, I'm always thinking about like relevance. I think the most, because um, yeah, it's like if I'm not relevant, then how can I say this? I think relevance is like the way for people to hear, like encounter the message,
Yeah. Yeah.
like actually like get face to face with the message. And the
Yeah.
intention is like what they dig into it, right?
Oof.
And so like for me, like relevance is always like my what I strive for.
Yeah.
And then like intention behind all that message is like my hope, my prayer, and my
Yeah.
wish, so for example, I wrote a song. um so I went to China one time, and I was at the border of China and North Korea, looking out to North Korea across the river. And I remember like in on our side, so Chinese side, there was like a festival going on, like all the lights going on, and it
Wow.
was loud, and people were like enjoying their time. And yeah, and across the river, like I see North Korea, and it's complete like pitch black, like just complete darkness, and nothing's going on. And that was when I was like 15 or 16, something like that. I was in high school.
Yeah.
Um, and more recently, maybe like 4 years ago, I was like, okay, I should write a song about this. And so I wanted it to be um, a song of like a song that brings comfort to a North Korean boy. I was just imagining in my head. I was like, oh, I want to sing. I want to write a song for a North Korean boy that was sitting on the other side that night. So that's the picture, right? And I'm like thinking, okay, this North Korean boy is probably not going to be Christian. Well, that's in my imagination anyway. And so I'm writing a song with no Christian jargon, no Christian language at all. But I'm very intentional about bringing characters of God in that. So, like,
Mm.
warmth, like, welcoming, like, comfort and all those ideas, right? And so it's a very like warm song. It's a very like yeah, it's a very like cozy. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a very like comforting song, and it's about like um yeah, this boy on the other end really hoping and in the place of hope actually being encountered by someone who he was hoping to meet. He was hoping to dream, like he was hoping to meet and dreaming to meet, I guess. And so yeah, just a song about like that, but like it's very like ambiguous, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, because like you know the listener doesn't know who he is or
Yeah.
the person that brings comfort is, but yeah,
Wow.
that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Wow.
So it
Is
really depends song to song, I feel like.
yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for breaking it down for like me as well as the listeners.
Mm.
Is that song name is that Apluka?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So it's a
I
Korean. It's written in Korean. Yeah. I wrote
wow.
that just in one sitting, maybe in like 10 minutes, and then a cool story about that song actually. So I wanted to write this song because I was about to go to Korea
Mm,
and be a part of this 40-day prayer gathering, praying for unification of North and South Korea.
mm,
And I was like, oh, I should write about my experience, like seeing North Korea on the other side of the river. So then I can raise awareness and then use the song to like show people and be like, hey, I'm going to Korea for this reason. Like, would you want to be a part of this, trip by financially giving or whatever it is, like praying for me or praying with me for this cause? And yeah, so I just wanted to write a song so then I can um, present it to my supporters. And
mm.
uh, yeah, and what happened was I was like, okay, I wrote this song in like 10-15 minutes, and then it is a very simple song, by the way. It's yeah, anyways, 10-15 minutes, I wrote it, and then I was like, okay, I need a singer for this. Because I'm not gonna sing on this. So I was like, oh, like who should I like get? And then there was this one Korean guy that was doing the missions program in our organization. I had never met him, but I was like, maybe I should get him to sing. Like I never met him. I didn't know he could sing or anything. But I was like, I feel like there's something about him that I wanna like try to do something with. And so
Yeah.
I reached out to
Wow.
him. I was like, hey, do you want to have dinner? And he was like, yeah, let's have dinner. So I was like, okay, okay, that's something. That's a start. So
Yep.
I got to have dinner with him, and I was just like kind of low key about it at first. Like I didn't share it for like the first hour. Just wanted to like connect with him first.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, like I wrote a song about like North Korea. Do you want to have a listen to it? Listen to the demo. And then he had a listen. And
Wow.
then he told me that he used to live near Amlokgang,
No
the river
way.
that the song is about.
Huh?
He used to live there for 3 months when he was in China. I didn't even know that he lived in
What the
China.
heck? Wow.
Anyways, he used to live there, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I want
Okay.
you to. Would you want to sing on it? Like, I same deal. Like I haven't heard him sing at all. I was like, oh, I feel like you should sing on it. Like, I don't know why. I haven't heard you sing or anything, but I feel like you just sing on it. It's like, oh, I'm not really a singer though. So I was like, okay, but I mean, your voice is nice. Like, maybe you can like give it a go. And
Mm.
then he pulls out his phone and then he goes to like Melon, which is like the Korean Spotify, and
Yeah.
he pulls out the song that he sang on. So he did sing.
What the
he's just
heck?
he's just a really incredible guitarist that he doesn't
Wow.
consider himself a singer. So apparently he used to be in a band, and the vocal of the band um, didn't really have the right voice for the song.
Yeah.
So they ended up getting him to sing it for
Wow.
that particular song. And then I heard the song, and then I was like, this is exactly the voice that I needed, like the voice that I
Wow.
was writing for. And I was like, let's record this. And the next week we recorded it, and then my friend helped me get like just film like a short music video, and we like released it. And then people responded, people like financially gave,
Wow.
people, and yeah, that was it. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So yeah, a
Wow.
very intentional song for that I wrote for the trip, but also for yeah, that boy in North Korea that I was imagining. And yeah, I feel like I look back at that song and really like feel there's something that there was something really special about that experience.
Yeah.
Can I share another experience?
Yeah. Yes, please. That's so amazing. Yes.
Another really funky experience that I had when I was a music missionary was I was just a student at this point actually. So I was a student kind of learning missions and like I wrote a song. It was like a little African song. So I was thinking about these people in Africa. I was like, I should write a song for them. So it was, I no, it was actually like an assessment or like assignment to like come up with something creative about a people group that I didn't know before. And so I chose an African people group with like two other friends of mine.
Wow.
And yeah, we wrote a song, African song. It's very funky, it's very fun,
Oh my
African rhythm.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah, and then like presented to the class, and my leaders were like, "Oh, this is actually a really good song, and there's a team going to Africa. We'll let them take the song with them."
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I mean, you can do that." I didn't really think much of it, right? So what happened was they end up taking the song to Africa. They end up being connected to one of the local radio stations, and they
No.
record the song in English and two local languages, and they are in the chart of African radio stations for like
Still,
months. I don't know. This was like five
what
years
the
ago, so probably
heck?
not. But like, and I was like, whoa, like I
My
had
song
no
in
intention to like
Mom, my song's in Africa chart number one.
I had zero intention about it, right? And I'm like,
Damn.
oh, this is crazy. And yeah, like just imagine like people, African people, like they probably have no idea that it was written by this random Asian guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Who's
they're
never
like
been to
singing.
Africa?
Yeah, I've never been to Africa. That was actually another turning point for me as a music producer. I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, like I can, like I haven't traveled to this place, but like my music can. And it was this
Yeah.
idea of like, wow, like I can actually reach so many people with this music. I still remember one of the first songs that I actually publicly released was like um the most like the how do I say this? The most fans listening to their songs were in Mexico, and I was like, what? Like
Mexico.
not Korea, not Australia,
Mexico?
Mexico. Like I'm like, what? Like, I think
Damn.
the idea of like, we live in a day and age where we can like do something on the other side of the earth and like
Yeah.
actually impact some people
Wow.
uh, knowingly and unknowingly. I think that was just like another turning point in my life as a musician, as a music producer. That I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm doing this for life, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and so another cool story.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think that really brings so much light and
Mm,
maybe it's because I believe in God as well. Like maybe because I'm a believer, it just grasps so much attention and it just
mm,
proves that like because you have God on your side, there's so much more stories that you can tell so evidently as well.
mm,
And I think that's just amazing how like definitely there is beauty inside of songwriting where you imagine and you illustrate the story that you want to write in your songs, and that's the whole beauty of
mm,
it. But being able to
mm,
see that come to life,
mm.
that's a whole new level. Like you write songs because you imagine it, but
Yeah.
your songs being able to be presented lively, so lively, and so many people's being impacted by that. I think that's the whole
Mm,
beauty of being a
yeah.
songwriter, of being an artist,
Yeah.
and not just as an artist, but knowing that God has your back and God actually like doing everything for you after you make your music. Like,
Mm,
wow, that's just so impactful.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think the word stewardship definitely comes to my mind right now, where like I think many Christians, like I'm gonna say this for myself as well, like being a creative Christian, we fall into the trap of if you're a Christian, then you need to be like calm. You need to humble yourself. And especially in Asian tradition, I guess, like you can't really
Mhm.
go out being creative as a Christian.
Mm,
And we're not really
right.
educated in that matter, where if you're a
Mhm,
Christian, feel free to be creative. God was the creator, God created everything. So just use
mm,
everything that He has given you, make it to the fullest. But for us, it's
yeah.
like, no, like I'm gonna stay in my comfort zone. I'm just gonna
Mm,
be happy with what I have and just be content. But you
mm,
actually know what matters. You know what your gifts and talents and what your resources are, and actually invest it to another level. And I think that's what
mm,
stewardship is all about, where you go
yeah.
beyond your natural gifts and you bring excellence in what you do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Like how
Thanks for saying
as
that.
nah, I mean that's what I really feel when I see you, because um I think I need to be educated. I need to be disciplined more in this area as well. But as a creative as well, it's hard to hone my gifts and bring excellence in what I do. But as a Christian on top of that, I think it's
Mm,
really important for Christians, especially Christian creatives, to bring
mm,
out excellence because
mm,
we're Christians. But so
yeah.
many people, non-Christians as well, see Christians as, oh, okay, you're a Christian, then it's just cute little worship songs. And I don't like how Christian music or Christian worship or artists are defined as cute,
Mm,
simple, easy. But
mm,
like, what are your opinions upon that? And if so, like, how would we Christians bring excellence in what we
mm,
do?
mm. That's a great question. I think first of all, like we all enjoy something in life. We all enjoy a certain genre. We all enjoy a certain um, expression of creativity. We all like enjoy. For example, I'm a big R&B guy. I love R&B. I love hip
Ooh.
hop. I love pop. And growing up, like I also grew up in a my dad's a pastor.
Mm.
Obviously, they're Koreans, my parents, and I grew up in a family where I wasn't really allowed to listen to anything other than worship.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and it's I don't know, like I kind of secretly listened to like non-worship music to be honest, like growing up.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think like I love my parents and I love like how maybe putting like real like conservative boundaries in my life have protected me from some things in life, and I'm really grateful for that. Like, um, and I have nothing against that, but I think it also like um, um, developed this idea in me that, you know, like you said, worship music is this whole like separate thing, or like a cute little thing that's like separate to the popular things going on in the world. And and yeah, as a Christian, I used to have this idea that the worship in heaven is gonna be like this big choir, all wearing white, all like glowing, and like they're all like
Yeah.
singing perfect harmony, perfect like notes, and like there's like massive like heavenly reverb and like you know, like that was
Thanks.
my imagination of like the throne room.
Yeah.
And I think growing up, like I had such boxed in ideas about that. But you know, like I said, you know, the heavenly worship, like if you look at the Bible, it says like, sorry, I'm being so Christian here, but anyways, if you look at the
Love it.
Bible, I do study theology, so I'm
Hey,
sorry.
appreciate it.
If you brought me in here, and you want my opinions and
Oh,
my, yeah, anyways.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
if you read the Bible, like, you know, like yeah, like there's scene of the heavenly worship where people from every tribe, every tongue, every nation, every, you know, every people group really come together, and they are all worshiping Jesus, and they're all like saying holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, and they're all saying like salvation belongs to the Lamb who sits on the throne. And like if you really imagine that in our earthly thinking, every tribe, every tongue, every nation, and every people group, like that's like Chinese gong going wild on one end of the room, and
Yeah.
in the other corner it's like African drums, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like all that to say,
Wow.
it's not just gonna be like this beautiful harmonization of a
Yeah.
choir or like Hillsong music, or like shout out to Hillsong, I love them, but it's not gonna be this one uniformed like worship sound. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's gonna be
Yep.
like bizarre, like this chaos that's created by like everyone bringing their own sentiment and like expressing their worship. And like we know that like every tribe, every nation, every tongue, every generation, you know, every people group, like if you think about it that way, like I want my 21st century Korean Australian music, R&B loving guys worship to be represented in that room.
Hey.
I don't want to wait for just that day, but I want that to happen here and now. And if you
Wow.
think about it that way, that's when I unlock and say, hey, I actually love hip hop music, but I want to worship with this. You know, like I
Wow.
don't want to just have this huge separation of like, oh, this is my career and then this is my worship. No,
Yeah.
like I want to like be able to say that I did my very best to like have my generation, my people group, and my own sentiment be represented in that room here on earth as well as in heaven, you know. And yeah, that's my whole like ethos of like I want people to actually know that their sentiments are welcomed in Christian world. I want
Wow.
them to know that their music, their sound, their taste, their genre, their you know, who they are, like their people group, their generation, their tribe, their tongue, their language, everything
Wow.
that's welcomed in this thing of like worshiping Jesus. And
Yeah.
Jesus like welcomes that. He welcomes the chaos. Like he's not like that's too messy for me, you know? Like
Yeah.
no, like, as long as we're agreeing that salvation belongs to the Lamb of God who sits on the throne, like chaos is like welcomed in this place of worship. And I want people to know that. And that's part of like what I want to really impartate in my yeah, in my community that I'm gonna create. So yeah, it's just this thing of like yeah, be your not just be yourself. That's a little bit irresponsible, but
Yeah.
like actually know what you like, know who you are, know how you're designed, know how you're like how you think, how you know. interact, how you get inspired and all that, and bring that with you, like
Wow.
don't be afraid of bringing that with you, because those things are welcome too, like
Yeah.
as long as you agree that, you know, in what is being sung in the worship, like salvation belongs to the Lamb of God, like you're welcome. And so, yeah, I want to say to all the creatives, not just musicians, like I think like Christian musicians, I think like, yeah, that temptation to think like worship music is so separate to like what you are passionate about, what you feel like is your like genre or musical identity. Like if you
Yeah.
feel like separation, like don't feel like you have to be this person on Sunday, but this person on Monday to Saturday,
Yeah.
like the church has done a huge mistake on teaching people how to do what to do with 1/7 of the week, 1/10 of the money. But like you have to learn, like you have to, as a person, you have to like learn how to do 7 out of 7 days of the week, 10 out of
Yeah.
10, of your money, right? And
Yeah.
like you don't have to feel like you have to be this, person on the Sunday and then this. Anyways,
That's
yeah.
so true.
I just think I
Wow.
just think yeah, creatives can feel like they're welcomed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. Like growing up inside a church, I guess, like you see so many problems. You see so many culture and traditions that are forced inside to you. And I guess growing up as a different generation from our parents, it doesn't work. And
Mm,
especially nowadays where technology and everything is just developing so fast. Like we can't
mm,
force the traditions of the
mm,
culture that is happening inside of churches. Yes, churches are amazing. Church is not just the building itself. Church should be a culture where we bring in Jesus into our lifestyle. It doesn't have to be the building itself, but we are so forced and informed that church is what you need to do. What you do inside a church is what you have to do. And I don't think it's taught to us as a lifestyle where we bring in the culture like that. And so I love it how you've just mentioned it's not a 1 out of 7th day. You have to practice 7 out of 7 days. And I think that's when the excellence come out, where it's not presenting ourselves to the people on that one day. It's living our lives
right.
every single day.
That's
And
good. Mm.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Christians are pretty bad at that. Like, we only do it on Sundays. We only work on it in one day. And I hate the fact where we have to I don't like describing myself as I'm a Christian as well, but as a person who definitely genuinely loves God, I want to
Mm,
discipline myself every single day to be a better part of me. But I
mm,
I definitely feel that we have the responsibility to help others and live out that lifestyle so that others can be like, wow, like that is how we should be living. And I definitely
that's good.
feel that creativity is definitely a tool for those creatives to really bring out their own, like their colors, to really shape
Mm,
other people and how we can belong together as a whole, I guess. Man,
so good.
wow. Yeah.
Sorry if I turned things into a big like Christian
Mm,
conversation, but I don't know if
yeah,
that was like
today's
the
like
intention.
it's good. It's good. I
Creative
because I
stuff.
love it because that's who you are as well. Like
Mm,
being Christian or not, like that's who you are, and
mm,
that's what lab is about. Like really validating you as who you are as a
yeah.
creative, and your philosophy is theology, and that defines you. So
Mm,
that's amazing.
mm,
Wow.
thank you. Mm,
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's so cool. Love that. Yeah. Well, you have another hobby in photography and writing as well. Like you have a different
okay.
Instagram page where David takes photos and he takes really great photos by the way, and he shares his stories. And for those
Mm.
who are interested in Korean, like you share stories in Korean, and I think it's really beautiful. But what were your intentions behind this, and how did you come to
Yeah.
incorporate your writing skills with photography
Mm.
together?
Yeah, so that was like what I shared earlier of like I should start something here. That's why I made the Instagram page, really. Yeah, I think yeah, like my original intention is for it to be more than just photography and writing. I want to be able to have more than just myself, like creatives, any creatives really that share same heartbeat, to be able to share the artwork, and for us to all be able to like celebrate that. So like yeah, so that was kind of the original intention, but I was like, okay, like what can I do now here alone in Australia,
Mm,
um that I can do more regularly. For me that was photography and writing. So
mm,
that's why I chose that, because yes, I can do music, but like I wanted it to be like um, more realistic, in sharing more regularly. So like, yeah, like a photo I could post every day.
mm.
Yeah, like writing I could write every day. And Yeah, so it started as like an everyday thing. Since I started uni and work, it kind of I had to slow it down by a lot.
Yeah.
But original intention was for me to like really, yeah, create a space where I can like sell, like really, um, yeah, have people like um have access to like good creativity and celebrate that. And so, yeah, that's how it came about. But right now, I noticed that my people that follow that page or people that appreciate my writing have certain questions or certain place in their life, as a Christian, especially. And so I've kind of been more writing for them, almost like with
Mm,
them in mind.
yeah.
Obviously, I'm really sharing very personal things, like my personal thoughts, my opinions. I think something that I really want to do is like, we live in a time where anyone can share any idea, and like whoever gets the most, like whoever gets the most follow, and whoever gets the most spotlight becomes like the big idea and like the big truth almost.
Yeah.
But I'm really not, like I really think that's a big trap. Like for me
Mm,
as a Christian, I think that's a trap because I'm gonna be nerdy here, but there's a if you go like track like the root of education down, trace it back like far enough, you get Greek education versus Hebrew education. There are two different models, and Greek education is like this idea of like, if you think about Greek mythology, it's like Zeus and Poseidon and all these different gods, and they are fighting each other basically, and none of them are almighty. They all like they all have their followers, they all have their worshippers and all that, and whoever gets the most worshipped, the most followed, is like the biggest, out of them. And that's like the
ah,
model that we live by right now in our current society. Greek education is the root of essays as well. You write to get the most agreement, you argue, and you make sure that the arguments are like all like based on like reason, so that you can get the most agreement, likes, and
wow.
and it puts you on a place where you're the most academically, you know big.
Yeah.
And that's like the Greek education system, even university, even like all that, like grade
Yeah.
system and all that. Whereas Hebrew system is like this God says what is truth, and we all
Yeah.
follow that. There's no
Wow.
arguing what is more right, what is more wrong. God says this is right, then that's right. God says this is the truth, then that's the truth. And I personally, um, yes, some people might say that that's really old fashioned, that's
Yeah.
very boring, but I really think that we have misunderstood that, and that's why
Yeah.
we think it's boring. Um,
Yeah.
and And I think there's really deep, um, yeah, deep conviction that we can have in like knowing that there's truth, and I just have to go by the truth, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
Wow.
there's insecurity around like trying to get more followers, trying to get more likes, and trying to get like all that thing because of like the Greek education model. And I think like when I write like things in my post, when I post photos, it's not the intention of like trying to get more likes and trying to get more, like trying to elevate myself to be the the
Yeah.
truth or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's more of this like I know what the truth is, and I want people to like hear it. I want more people to hear it. And I want it's a little bit different. It's the goal is the same. The goal is to like reach out to people about what you
Yeah.
believe in, what your opinions are. But the basis is totally different. You
Yeah.
know, one is like I wanna be the truth. One is I know the truth and I want to share it,
Mm.
you know. And yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm really doing right now with that page of like I just want to make sure that I'm in the world of any ideas being thrown out. I want to be a good voice,
Wow.
because I think yeah, like I said, people are exposed to so many ideas, and like more liked things are popping up on your news feed without your
Yeah.
real control. But like, is that really good for us? Is that really
Yeah.
good for our souls? The best thing we can do is click unsubscribe to those things.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that they have control over that. I want people, young people of this generation, to know that they can unsubscribe. They can
Yeah.
subscribe to good things. They can unsubscribe to wrong things. And
Yeah.
so this whole idea of like, I want to write something really good and really authentic for people to read and actually like ponder about, so then they
Mm.
can actually be from there, like make the choice of like blocking out the wrong noise in their social media, but then having this like point where they can access good things in social media. So I'm just
Mm.
doing that on Instagram at the moment. Yeah, just sharing what I know is truth, what I believe is like a good principle in life,
Yeah.
especially in modern day life. And yeah, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So photos are more
Wow.
just like the creative sauce, you know, what I
Yeah.
love doing.
Wow.
But the writings are really where it's at for me.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it is written all in Korean. For those of you that are listening in, yeah, that speak English only, I'm really sorry, but yeah, it's in Korean. It's called CRTD dot KR. Wait, is that right?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
CRT
CRT
underscore
underscore D dot KR.
dot KR.
Yeah.
So it stands for created. So it's just created without the E's and A's and whatnot. Yeah, like going back to what I shared earlier, I
Wow.
want I want to make a group that's more interested in becoming known as the created than becoming known as the creators. And so yeah, so it
Wow.
stands for created dot Korea. Um, but yeah,
Wow.
that's what it
That's
is.
amazing. You and your
Yeah.
philosophies and all the information that backs it up, like it makes you so it makes me so like, oh yeah, that's so true, like persuasive.
Mm, mm.
Wow. Wow, that's so amazing. Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
thank you.
Well, as much as it is our time, before
Mm,
we leave, I guess there is our unfinished business where
mm.
we were working on a project and
Yes, it was
hope
called Leave It All Behind, right? I was wondering about that the whole time. I was like, is this like some kind of like connection
I
with
know,
that
right?
song? Any
Not gonna
kind of
lie.
connection?
Um, month after making it, I was like, oh,
Mm,
hold up. Oh, and then I had like a bunch of ideas that I'll talk with you, talk about it with
okay.
you like after this. I need to get your
Mm,
permission as well, but yeah, for sure like every time I was like, "Oh, I need to work on it. Let me get back into it." And then reality will hit and be like, oh my gosh, like it's that moment in
So
life where it's like you want to work on it, but
mm,
it's just like yield to it first because it's not
yeah.
mine to do kind of feeling. But hopefully. So me and David, we collaborated when David
Mm,
came to Sydney for a while, and we had this song called "Leave It All Behind," and it was
mhm.
this really like really catchy song, like half Korean, mostly in English, and we were about to release it, but kind of finalizing the recording. We're still in progress, so for those listening, please have it in the loop, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah, I think about it sometimes too. I definitely
Mm.
think about it. I was actually just talking about it to my new housemate, yeah, about the song, and yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's a great song.
It
It just,
is.
with distance and busy life and all that, it just kind of lost the momentum to really, yeah, because yeah, if we were like, if I was in Sydney, I think we would have like just finished it and released it. But
Yeah.
yeah, with life and with business, it kind of lost the momentum a little. And yeah, it's a great song. So yeah, oh sorry, yeah, I love to work on it more. And um, but yeah,
100%. 100%.
coming soon, coming soon. I don't know how soon, but
Coming
coming soon.
soon. Hopefully soon. If you guys are interested to hear, pray about it. But anywho, final question. Before we
Yes.
leave, is there anything you'd like to leave behind in the lab before you go?
Ooh, wow. Um, yes.
We.
Yes. Yeah, is it leave behind as in like just my personal like whatever is going on that I, okay. I think yeah, I've kind of since finding out that I won't be able to go to Korea, I've kind of really found, you know, ways to be happy and really hopeful still here, even though plans have gone wrong. But like my guys that wait in Korea, whenever I talk with them, there's always this like moment of like, oh, like we're gonna have to wait another year, or you know, and I think that really breaks my heart. I think mostly for them, for
Mm,
myself as well, but I think in all honesty, mostly for them. And yeah, I think um, we're trying to navigate that well. We're thinking about maybe them coming here instead, and like some of them at least coming
wow.
here instead. Um, yeah, they're willing. I'm really blessed by that. But yeah, I think that whole conversation and that process has really been weighty on my heart. And so yeah, just that feeling of like not really knowing what's gonna happen, but then like knowing that it's gonna happen and like
Yeah.
the mixture of that, like it's kind of this like weird tension of like um yeah, just um good and bad feelings. I'm definitely not like thinking about it and like depressed about it at all, but it is definitely like on my heart, and I want to do it well, especially because it involves others that I really love. And so
Mm,
yeah, just that whole feeling, that emotion, um that weight. I would love to leave it all behind.
yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Hopefully like next time you join lab or next time when this is out, you'll have a
Mm,
more relieved feeling from it. Yeah.
that's good.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing and thank you so much for being our special experiment of the day, David. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well,
Sorry I
that's it for
went slow
today's.
all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think that was like so rich in story. Like there's
Thank
so much more to really like 그집어내 from you, but that needs to be kept for next time because you need to remain as a mystery man because there's too
you.
much inside of you that needs to be in curious mode.
All right, let's do that.
Yes, yes. Well, for all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. That's it for today's lap sesh. You can find David on Instagram at TEHILLIM Music. And also, if you know Korean or is interested in photography, go check out his beautiful writing photographies with special stories that he shares in Korean with you at crt_d.kr. So thank you so much for tuning in. You can find more information on Instagram at leaveitallbehind_lab. And yeah, see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.